Today I'm going to be making elderberry syrup. I had mentioned in one of my previous videos, I think it was my gluten-free sourdough video, and just on a little side note on my gluten-free sourdough, I don't think it turned out. I'm going to probably end up starting again. So anyways, today I am making elderberry syrup. This is not an elderberry syrup, something you would put on pancakes or waffles. This is an elderberry syrup that is medicinal. So it's something that you would make in the fall. I'm making it in the middle of winter, but you would normally make it in the fall because it lasts for up to 6 months in your fridge. The elderberry syrup has a lot of really good medicinal benefits, especially through the cold season in the winter time. So, I mean, even if you are not sick, you could take a tablespoon of this every day throughout the winter. But if you are feeling under the weather and you notice you're getting a bit of a scratchy throat, you know, clearing your throat a little bit more, and I tend to do that normally. So I usually take the elderberry syrup every day, but if you're feeling like you're, like I say, scratchy throat, feeling under the weather, you can take more than a tablespoon of that throughout the day. I mean, it's not going to hurt you. Everything that is in here is beneficial and will just be very good for your system. So to start off, I have a Dutch oven. I am making a double batch because I'm planning on giving some of this away. One batch makes 3 cups of elderberry syrup, and I usually fill up these jars with a little top cap on it. I'll show you at the end of the video when I'm filling the jar up. So I'm using my Dutch oven pot to do this. Since I'm doing a double batch, I will measure it for a single batch, and I'll just put in twice as much. So to start off, I did source some dried elderberries because that's what I was looking for. So I went to our local health food store and I picked up some dried elderberries from there. We need 3/4 of a cup of elderberries. So that's one. And I'm going to open up my other little bag. I actually used to get my elderberries on Amazon, and because I wanted to make this and then I didn't realize I didn't have any, so I ended up going to the health food store, and one of these bags, which is probably about a cup in there, 1 cup of elderberries was $13. So I picked up 2 of these because I wanted to make sure I had enough to be able to do a double batch. So that was $26 just for the elderberries. Okay, so next I am going to put in 2 cinnamon cloves. And I just buy my cinnamon sticks in a big package, so I'm putting 4 of these in. Next is going to be whole cloves, but this is one of the few things that I use the whole cloves for. So I'm just putting in a couple of tablespoons, 1 for each batch. And then I have fresh shredded ginger. I'm just going to grab a spatula to get this out. So I have about 3 tablespoons in total of fresh ginger that I have shredded on a small, I grated it, and it's on one of the small Okay, then I'm putting in a half a cup of rose hips. These are dried rose hips. I did get these through Amazon, and I've had these for a couple of years, so I don't know how much I paid for them. My husband just got home from work. That's why my dog is barking, because she heard his truck. So I need a half a cup of dried rose hips. And we have rose hips on our property. I would like to be able to pick rose hips and dry them myself. Half a cup. And I have another bag soon. Okay. Put my little clip back on here. Okay. Hi.
Are you videoing right now?
And then we need 3.5 cups of water. So I've already pre-measured 7 cups of water. Then I'm going to turn my burner on to boil. And that's all we're going to be putting in there as of right now. I'm turning this on to get this to be onto a boil. Once I have this boiling, then I'm going to turn it down to simmer. And then I'm going to simmer it for 45 minutes with a lid on. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this to medium high to get it onto a, once it's boiling, okay, this is just started to boil, which is exactly what I want. And then I'm going to turn this down to low and let it simmer covered. Lid. I'm going to turn this down. Turned it off instead of down, and I'm going to cover that up. Once this is done simmering on low, then am going to let it cool. Well, actually I don't have to let it cool right away. Once it's done simmering, oh, I'm going to turn my timer on. Okay, so I have that turned on for 45 minutes. And then once it's done simmering, I'm going to put it through my chinois. And this is something that you can use for doing jellies and sauces. If you're trying to take the seeds out of tomatoes to make certain sauces, like, well, tomato sauce, of course, you can put your tomatoes through this and run it through. I have a cheesecloth on here because I want this to go through the cheesecloth. Last year, I didn't put the cheesecloth in there, and I found the syrup a little on the kind of chunky side. And I just think with the cheesecloth, that'll make it so it's just more of a syrup and would be not as chunky. I also use these type of bottles to put the syrup in. These were the ones I was telling you, it has a little clamp on there. After I've ran it through my chinois, and I'm going to put it back into my measuring cup because I'm going to have 6 cups worth of syrup. But I also, once I'm done running it through the chinois and the cheesecloth into my measuring cup, then I'm going to let it cool slightly because I also need to add in a cup of honey into it. And this is a wildflower honey, and I need a cup for each batch, so I'll be putting 2 cups of this in, but I want to wait until it is like just warm. I don't want it to be hot when I put my honey in. Okay, so my timer has gone. I'm turning off the burner. I'm going to start kind of pushing the fruit up against the stove, up against, the pot. And that's going to squish any juice out of the elderberries. Oh, it smells so good. My husband doesn't think it smells very good when it's cooking, but I actually really enjoy the smell. What do you think, Austin? Do you think it smells good or you don't like it?
I don't like it. Well, it smells cinnamony.
Well, there is cinnamon in it. It has cinnamon sticks in it, that's for sure. So, oh, okay, so Austin doesn't like it either. Well, neither does Jamie, so maybe it's a guy thing.
Hey, the guy can't hear you.
Okay, so now I'm going to pick out these cinnamon sticks, put them right into the lid of my pot. Whew. Sheesh warm. Yowza. Okay, I don't think I shouldn't have any more. There was only 4. Okay, now we're gonna run this through my cheesecloth. Okay, so I'm gonna put that there and pour this through the cheesecloth. So just be careful when you're pouring it in there. I'm gonna have to pull this back a little. Not too bad, I only spilt a couple of things. So that's not too bad. I've had worse messes. Okay, so now I'm going to take my little wooden pestle and I'm just going to push it through to get as much of the juice out of those elderberries that I can get out of them. Okay, and then I'm just going to let this drain a little bit longer to get all of the juice out of here. I think that's it. And then what I can do is I'm just going to dump what is in this cheesecloth bag. I'll dump it in my compost because everything in here will decompose and put it in my compost. Now I have to let this cool because it's way too hot to be adding my honey to it. So I'm going to let this cool, and that's probably going to take, I don't know, half an hour or something like that. And then we'll come back and okay, so this is actually just like lukewarm, which is a perfect temperature to add your honey into it. We are at 5 cups I need to add a cup for each batch. So I'm going to add 2 cups of honey, and I'm going to bring it up to 7 cups. I was going to use a measuring cup, and I thought, well, what was the point? I need 2 cups, so I'm going to bring it up to 7 cups. And there we go. And I'm just going to stir it in here. Get it all mixed in to that wonderful, yummy goodness. And again, I mean, adding honey, that's beneficial to you. I did a wildflower honey that I'm adding. So everything that I have put in here is totally medicinally beneficial. Nothing in here is you'll have to worry about as far as taking too much of it. It's not that is not even a worry. So I just want to make sure it's really good and mixed in. And that's why I like it to be slightly warm, because the honey will mix in a lot nicer that way. And then I already have all my jars cleaned, and I have a funnel, and that'll save on any mess as well. Okay. Let's put that here. I see a couple of little rose hip fragments. They must have escaped and found their way. Okay, so let's start filling up these jars. Or should I say bottles? Okay. So then I'll take this, move it over to that jar. Thought it would be cool to print off some labels for the syrup. So I just have a labeler, and then I can put the label on the jar. And there you have it, elderberry syrup. And then I'll put a label on each one of these. This is the elderberry syrup I made before, and I said it was kind of chunky, and you can see the residue on the bottle. But it didn't change the taste whatsoever. Just a little chunky. And still good. Healthful benefits. So if you decide to make elderberry syrup, I hope you enjoy it. I've been making this for a couple of years now, and now I just make it every fall, but we're a little late this year. And like I say, I give one to a friend of mine, and I also give a jar or a bottle to my sister-in-law. So I hope you like this video. I hope you've learned something. And if you like this video, throw a like in there. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to subscribe. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.